Good evening, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. You are listening to the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tonight, we are going to talk about the Browns. We have a lot of updates to talk about, and they finally get a win. And what's coming next week? We will talk about how the college football went this past weekend. We will talk a little bit about the Crew beginning their playoff run tonight. We will talk a little bit about the Guardians. They have some award winners and one minor coaching change. We will talk about how the Cavs season has started. And we will talk about the Charge finalizing their training camp roster. And then we will wrap up the show with some hockey with the Blue Jackets and the Monsters. So stay right here with the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. For that and more. Welcome all to the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Before we get into the sports, we are going to hear a little word from our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky and Seal the Deal Wax Seals. And of course, we wouldn't be here without IE Sports Radio. So stay right here and we will get the show rolling right after these messages from our sponsors.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
You are back listening to the show of the land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Huge shout out to our wonderful sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Head on over to planetjerky.net and place your orders today. It is the best jerky out there. And Seal the Deal Wax Seals. You can head on over to iesportsradio.com/seal the deal wax seals to place your orders for that. It is the perfect finish to your invitations, letters, and gifts. And of course, we wouldn't be here without IE Sports Radio. So please be sure to follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and subscribe on YouTube. And be sure to check out our website, and you can get more information on all of our shows and all of the different hosts and things of that nature. And you can, of course, check out our shop to get some IE Sports Radio merchandise. And if you missed the live feeds of the shows, you can catch the audio on any of these wonderful podcast options. You can follow the show on X at Show of the Land IE, and you can follow me on X, Instagram, and Threads at Believe Land Girl, and on TikTok at Jen.BelieveLand. Now, let's talk some sports. Browns. Before we get into it, we have a little business to take care of. Sadly, the voice of the Browns for the last 25 years, Jim Donovan, passed away on Saturday after a long battle with cancer. Our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family and the entire Browns community, and also WKYC, the Cleveland NBA or NBC affiliate, where Jim Donovan also worked for many years. This is a terrible, tragic loss, and I don't even have words. I really don't. I honestly can't even tell you who called games before Jim Donovan. I don't have any idea. I was a kid when Art Modell stole the team and moved them to Baltimore, and I have no idea who called the games before that happened. I really don't. I was a teenager, so I wasn't really paying that close attention to who was calling the games. But in honor of Jim Donovan, we are going to have a moment of silence before we get into the sports of it all. Whew, thank you for that moment of silence. And now I'm going to read the Haslam's statement once the news broke that Jim had passed away. This is an incredibly difficult day for us and the entire Cleveland Browns organization. We are deeply saddened by the loss of Jim Donovan. His impact as the voice of the Browns for 25 years is immeasurable, as he touched the lives of our fans each day and every Sunday with his love for the Browns and his brilliance at his craft. He will be greatly missed, but he cemented a legacy that will live on forever. The only thing that outweighed his love for this city and this team was the love he had for his family. Our thoughts and prayers are with his wife Cheryl, his daughter Megan, and everyone who was fortunate enough to call Jimmy family or friend. Whew. All right. Now we're going to move on before I start crying. All right. So we have some roster updates, injury updates, and other news. Topping off the headlines this past week, Kevin Stefanski handed play calling off to Ken Dorsey, starting with this last game on Sunday against the Ravens. Jameis Winston has been named the starting quarterback following Watson's season ending injury. Guard Wyatt Teller returned to practice last week and was activated from the IR and did play in Sunday's game against the Ravens. Running back Nyheim Hines will not be returning this season. The Browns have opted not to activate him from IR, so he is done for the season. Deshaun Watson had successful surgery to repair his ruptured Achilles and is expected to make a full recovery. In a corresponding roster move for the activation of Wyatt Teller, the Browns waived cornerback Khalif Halassi, and they elevated wide receiver Jalen Darden from the practice squad for the Ravens game. And if I'm not mistaken, that is his last elevation. So we'll see what they opt to do from there. I'm not 100% positive on that. He might have one more because they did cut him and then bring him back. So I'm not 100% sure how that all works. And then the last bit of news is last week I mentioned that the Browns formally notified the city of Cleveland of their plans to go ahead with the dome in Brook Park and that it seemed like the city wasn't going to fight them. Well, guess what? The city has filed a lawsuit against the Browns for violating the Art Modell law, and the Browns have in turn filed a lawsuit requesting a clarification on the Art Modell law. So we will keep an eye on that and see how that progresses. Before we move on to the next topic, give a shout out to Yukio in the chat. Yukio is one of the first ever fans of IE Sports Radio, and he is in the IE Sports Radio Hall of Fame. So thank you for joining the show, Yukio. He says, have a great show. Says condolences for Jim Donovan, and thanks to Browns. Steelers are in first place in the AFC North. Yes, yes, they are. Oh, well, it is what it is. I mean, when you're not winning, other teams are going to take the bait, are going to take that place. So, all right. So on Sunday, the Browns took on the Baltimore Ravens. And given how the last 7 weeks have gone, not many expected much for this game. But Jameis Winston surprised us all and went out there and got the win. Jameis Winston set a franchise record for the most passing yards by a quarterback in his Browns debut with 334 yards. Cedric Tillman caught not only his first, but also his second career touchdown and led the team with 99 receiving yards. We do have some unfortunate news that also occurred during the game. JOK was taken to the hospital after sustaining a neck injury. He did spend the night in the hospital, but was released yesterday morning and is said to be doing well. He made a post yesterday saying all is well, alhamdulillah. And Coach Stefanski says he is up and walking around and appears to be doing well, and he is day to day for now. And very unfortunate news, Denzel Ward sustained his 6th known concussion and is once again in concussion protocol. This is his 2nd concussion this season. So I I don't know. If it were me, if I were Denzel Ward, I would wrap it up. He is too young and too smart to keep taking these hits to his brain. Yukio says, thanks for your shout out. You're welcome, Yukio. Thank you once again for joining the show. Like I said, I mean, that CTE is no joke. And I would hate to see him ruin his life just to play football a little bit longer. It's not worth it in my opinion, but it's not my decision to make, so we will see what happens. But 6th known concussion and his 2nd this season. So we will definitely be keeping an eye on that. There haven't been any updates. It's not Wednesday yet, and Stefanski makes all of his major updates on Wednesdays. So we'll see what Coach Stefanski has to say tomorrow. But I would not expect to see Denzel Ward playing for the next week or 2 minimum, if not longer. There was a concussion last year or the year before where he missed 4 or 5 games. So given that this is the last game before the bye week, I would expect not to see Denzel Ward at least until after the bye week. But we shall see what happens. The Browns' next game is this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they will be taking on the LA Chargers. After the way they played against the Ravens, I think they have a shot. If Jameis can play the way he played on Sunday or better, that would be awesome. There were a couple of snafus that he got very lucky on Sunday. I like to think that Jim Donovan was watching over that game because there were some things that you don't normally see happen that happened. Kyle Hamilton had a ball hit him right in the hands and he could not secure it for an interception. There were a couple of passes that Lamar Jackson made to receivers that just like bounced off of them that they would normally catch. And there were at least 3 missed interceptions by the Ravens secondary, and even the Browns secondary had some missed interceptions. There were 2 or 3 that they should have had too. But yeah, I mean, the team looked much more cohesive. The offensive line played significantly better. Jameis Winston is definitely getting rid of the ball a lot faster than Deshaun Watson was. Shout out to Pop Pujols, Corey's father. Corey is the host of Palm Tree Sports. Welcome to the show. Hope all is well down there in Florida. So we'll see if the team plays the way that they played against the Ravens. I think they can beat just about anybody. The defense was on point for the most part. It would be nice to see them actually get the turnovers. They did they had a couple of fourth down stops and a couple of almost turnovers, but they did a pretty solid job of keeping the Ravens out of the end zone for the most part. Um, they did score 2 touchdowns. One was on a short field. Jameis Winston was sacked and fumbled, and they recovered. The Ravens recovered at like the 30 or something like that. And then Lamar Jackson just had a really nice pass that got them a touchdown. That the I don't know if there was a miscommunication or what, but the guy was like wide open. So, um, other than that, the defense was great. Miles Garrett and Zadarius Smith led. We'll go back to Baltimore. Led the NFL in quarterback pressures, both having 9 this week. So there was a definite uptick. The defense played more cohesively, and the offense was better all the way around. The offensive line was protected better, and I don't know if that was having Wyatt Teller back or if it was just the way Jameis Winston plays compared to how Deshaun Watson plays, or what the case may be. I am not going to speculate that it's because they didn't want to protect Deshaun Watson, because I think that is ridiculous. And if that is the case, then they all deserve to lose their jobs, because that is their job. But it was just a much better showing. And you can point to many different things. Ken Dorsey calling the plays instead of Kevin Stefanski, maybe that had something to do with it. I do think Wyatt Teller being back was a big part of it, because he's a big staple of that offensive line. And also, new this week, they had DeJuan Jones starting at left tackle. He actually played pretty well. He did have one offside or one false start, I believe. But other than that, he did fairly well. So we had mostly a starting offensive line this week for probably the first time all season. So that is definitely a positive. The receivers were playing better. Jameis Winston was actually getting the balls to them. Uh, David Njoku had a great game. Elijah Moore had a great game. Jerry Jeudy played pretty well. Cedric Tillman had the best game of his career. So hopefully that will continue. We will see. I'm kind of in a like I'm kind of conflicted right now, because being 2-6, it's going to be very difficult to make the playoffs. So I'm kind of like, do I want them to win, or would I prefer that they have a higher draft pick? Because obviously we need a quarterback, and we very well may need a left tackle as well. So I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what I want. I guess if they win this week, then I guess we go for trying to squeak into the playoffs. But if we lose this week, then I think I'm good with being as bad as we can be without making it look like we're intentionally being bad. Uh, Papa Pujo says, "Do wish all goes for Jameis with you all. We did go to the same church, but different campuses." Jameis Winston is awesome. He is such a leader, and he had this team so pumped up going out onto the field to start the game. It was unbelievable. So I also hope things go well with him. If the Browns do decide that they are at the point of no making the playoffs, then I do think that they should throw DTR in there and see what they have in him, because come this offseason, they need to make a decision because Jameis Winston's on a 1-year deal. So after this season, he's a free agent. And Deshaun Watson, even if they were to give him another go, is most likely not going to be playing until the middle of next season. So they need to figure out a quarterback regardless of what they intend to do with Deshaun Watson. As far as I'm concerned, I hope he never takes another snap in a Browns uniform. But if they do decide to let him play out the rest of his contract, they still need to figure out what they are going to do for quarterback the first half of the season, because the likelihood of him being ready before week 5 is slim. So, um, so we'll see. But that is going to wrap things up for the Browns. We are going to move on to some college football. And we've got 3 teams actually to talk about today. We have the number 4 Ohio State Buckeyes that played the Nebraska Cornhuskers on Saturday. They did not play that well. It was kind of a disappointing game, even though they won. They won 21-17. However, they definitely should have won by more. It was not a great game all the way around. So we'll see. I was helping produce another show while the game was going on, so I was kind of half watching, so I didn't get too in depth into what was going on, but they definitely should have won by more than 4 against an unranked team. So that was a bit of a disappointing showing. Um, It was the first game back after that heartbreaking loss to Oregon and a week off. So we'll see how they rebound, because next Saturday they're playing number 3 Penn State. So they will be playing at noon Eastern Standard Time. And we will see if they have what it takes to beat a ranked opponent, because they sure fell short against Oregon. And that was more of a time management issue than anything. Um, it's unfortunately lose-lose with this contract, talking about Deshaun Watson. Yes, it really is, unfortunately. The only upside for the Browns would be if the NFL suspends him again, because then they at least can hopefully get out of the rest of the guaranteed money at the very least. But it is what it is. But yeah, so this Saturday is going to be another big test for Ohio State to see how they can match up against a ranked opponent. So we'll see if they can come out of this one with the win and beat those Nittany Lions. But I don't know if they play the way they did against Nebraska. I don't have much hope. I have not really seen any Penn State games so far this season, so I don't know how well Penn State is playing. But um, if Ohio State plays the way they did against Nebraska, I don't know. I don't know. We definitely won't be talking about the number 4 Ohio State Buckeyes next week if they lose this game. So we'll see what happens there. But let's move on to our D3 teams. We actually have 2 ranked teams this week. Of course, the number 3 Mount Union Purple Raiders. They played Ohio Northern this weekend and they won 42-13. Next Saturday, they will be playing Capital at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they will try and keep that unbeaten record going. And our newest team added just this week to the top 25 for D3 is the Marietta Pioneers. They broke into the top 25 at number 25. They beat Baldwin Wallace 47-7. Their next game is this coming Saturday against Wilmington College, and that will also be at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Marietta is currently 7-0 on the season and 6-0 in conference play. And Marietta and Mount Union will be facing off on the 9th. So that should be a good matchup. If Marietta can keep this up, they may be able to move a little bit further up that ranking list if they can top the Purple Raiders. But the Purple Raiders don't like to be topped, so I don't know if that'll happen. But, they could definitely give it a shot, and hopefully it will be a really good game at the very least. Now we are going to move off of football and on to some football. The Columbus Crew begin their MLS Cup playoff run tonight. They will be taking on the New York Red Bulls here in about 3 minutes. The kickoff is supposed to be at 6:45. Usually doesn't happen that way, but it's supposed to be at 6:45. And then game 2 against the Red Bulls will be on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Papa Pulo says it's the perfect lead-in before the Florida-Georgia game. Oh, yes. All kinds of fun college sports this weekend. And some soccer, too. We got some soccer on Sunday. We got some football on Sunday. We got college football on Saturday. So all kinds of fun stuff going on this weekend. And we haven't gotten there yet, but I'm sure there's probably some basketball and hockey, too. But that is all I have for the football and the football. We are going to take a short break, and when I come back, we will be talking some baseball and some basketball. So stay right here listening to the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and we will be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA to the grand slams of the MLB to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the Show of the Land with Jenn B right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be sure to check out those wonderful shows. Let's Whine About DMV Sports with Mike Pat for all of your DC, Maryland, and Virginia sports needs, and the SoCal Supreme Sports Show with Taryn Rodriguez for all of your SoCal sports needs. You can catch Let's Whine About Sports or Let's Whine About DMV Sports with Mike on. He's been going on Saturdays. He was on Fridays, but he's been going Saturday nights. And the SoCal Supreme Sports Show is usually on Fridays. But, you can head on over to iesportsradio.com and check out the schedule too for more on those shows and the rest of our wonderful shows. Now let's talk some Guardians baseball. We have just a couple of things to talk about with the Guardians after they wrapped up with their season, getting knocked out by the Yankees. But that's all right. The Yankees about to get swept by the Dodgers. So, anywho, the Sporting News Awards were announced this past week. Stephen Vogt was named Manager of the Year. Jose Ramirez and Emmanuel Clase were both named All-Stars. And Tanner Bybee and Andres Jimenez were awarded the Fielding Bible Awards. Also, it has come out that hitting coach Chris Valleca will be joining the Cincinnati Reds under Terry Francona, so the Guardians will be in search of a new hitting coach, which may not be a bad thing given the way things went the second half of the season and most of the playoffs. So hopefully they can find a good solid hitting coach and turn things around there. That's all of the baseball news because, it's the off season, so not much going on there. Now let's talk some Cavs. And as Papa Pujols says, great start for the Cavs. Wow, 4-0. Yes, sir. They have been impressive. So last week, they released their final roster, and it is Max Strus, Ty Jerome, Karis LeVert, Evan Mobley, Sam Merrill, Craig Porter Jr., Darius Garland, Tristan Thompson, JT Thor, George Niang, Imoni Bates, Jalen Tyson, Jarrett Allen, Dean Wade, Luke Travers, Isaac Okoro, and Donovan Mitchell. Imoni Bates, Luke Travers, and JT Thor are on two-way contracts. So we will keep an eye on how things are going there, but I don't expect any significant changes. Max Strus is currently out injured. He's expected to miss, I believe they said 5 to 6 weeks. But other than that, everybody is rolling. Imoni Bates is also hurt, but like I said, he's on a two-way contract, so he doesn't really play much for the Cavs unless, they get a ginormous lead, and then sometimes they'll put in those two-way players. But the Charge training camp is getting ready to start, so those two-way players won't be as available going forward. So as Papa Pujols said earlier, Cavs start the season 4-0. So let's talk about it. Wednesday, they started the season against the Toronto Raptors. They won 136-106. Dean Wade got the start in place of the injured Max Strus, and Evan Mobley led the team with 25 points. So Kenny Atkinson has been saying that he wants to get Evan Mobley more involved on the offense. And boy, did he, at least in the first game. Friday, they played the Detroit Pistons. It was JB Bickerstaff's first game back in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse since he was let go following the debacle of the NBA playoffs last season. And he had a mixed welcome, a very mixed welcome, but the Cavs did play a tribute video as they always do with returning players and former coaches. And the Cavs went ahead and won to give him a proper welcome, 113-101. Donovan Mitchell and Dean Wade led with 19 points each. Jarrett Allen recorded his first double-double of the season with 17 points and 11 rebounds. Saturday, in the Cavs' first back-to-back of the season, they played the Washington Wizards and they won 135-116. Donovan Mitchell led the team with 30 points, and Evan Mobley recorded his first double-double of the season with 13 points and 13 rebounds. Last night, the Cavs took on the New York Knicks in New York, and they won 110-105. Darius Garland led with 34 points, and Jarrett Allen had a double-double number 2 with 15 points and 15 rebounds. It has been a great start to the season. Monday, last night, was their first real test. The other 3 games, they were pretty much winning most of the game. This one came down to the wire, and the lead was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The Cavs finally got a decent cushion of like 6 points, and they managed to keep a lead. It didn't stay 6 points. It was up and down and up and down and up and down for a little bit there, but they kept the lead and pulled out the win. So, what's next for these undefeated Cavaliers? Tomorrow, they take on the LA Lakers in Cleveland, and I will be there. That's right. I will be there. So keep an eye on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I will try and make some posts depending on how my service is inside the arena. And we will be watching the Cleveland Cavaliers take on the LA Lakers. And it will be nice to see my Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James all at the same time. Because, like I said last week, I have not seen a Cavs game in person since Brad Daugherty and Mark Price were on the team. So I am super excited. And tomorrow is my birthday. So hopefully they continue and go 5-0 for my birthday. Because it's only fitting that they win on my birthday, right? Especially if I'm there. Anywho, Friday, they will be playing the Orlando Magic. Saturday, the Milwaukee Bucks. And Monday, also the Milwaukee Bucks. So, still got some tough games coming up. These next 4 games are not easy games. So, we shall see if they continue. I mean, I don't expect them to go undefeated forever, but let's see how far they can take it. Papa Polo says, we got next Magic on November 1st. Oh, yes, 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 yes. I mean, of course, I do expect that the Cavs, thank you. Appreciate it. Um, I do expect that they will lose at some point, of course. I mean, it's a very long season and they are not going to go undefeated forever, but I'm going to enjoy the ride while it lasts. But that is about it for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now let's move on to the Cleveland Charge. Following a series of trades and the G League draft, the Charge have released their training camp roster. So here it is. Amoni Bates on a two-way contract. Jules Bernard, they acquired via trade. Darius Brown II from an affiliate. Sheikh Mbak Diong for open tryouts. Jacob Gilliard via trade. Marlon Hargis, open tryouts. Elijah Highs via trade. Farron Hunt, returning player from last season. Chandler Hutchinson, acquired in the draft. Pete Nance, returning. Gabe Asabuahain. One of these days, I will figure out how to pronounce his name. I'm going to have to try and catch a Charge game so I can hear how they say it. But he actually played a lot towards the end of the Charges season last year. Didn't hear much about him earlier in the season, but he was an up-and-comer towards the end of the season. So we'll see if he can continue that way. Xavier Sewell is there for open tryouts. Zaire Smith, returning player. JT Thor on a two-way. Luke Travers on a two-way, and Naquan Tomlin, an affiliate. Okay, now I gotta look if this guy's related to Mike Tomlin. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Basketball player. Let's see. He was born in Harlem, New York. Let's see. Now, I totally read this name before, and it did not. Here we go. Is he related to Mike Tomlin, who transferred from Kansas State? It does not look like they are related. No, they are not related. So, all right. Just interesting that they have the exact same last name with the same spelling. So anyway, he is not related to Mike Tomlin, but he is from an affiliate. So that is the current training camp roster for the Cleveland Charge. And they will be starting training camp here shortly. On November 9th, they will be starting training camp. So, got a couple more weeks where the two-way players might get some playing time with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then they will be in training camp with the Charge, and then the Charge's season will start. So, then we won't have as much availability with those two-way guys. Generally, the way the Cavs have played it is they only utilize those guys if, like I said, they have a huge lead or a huge deficit or there's significant injuries. The only way they will pull the two-way players from the Charge during the Charge's season, is if the Charge have an off day, if both teams are playing in the same city, or the Cavs have some significant injuries that they need some support on. But that is going to wrap things up for the baseball and the basketball. So we are going to take another short break. And when we come back, we will wrap things up with some hockey. So stay right here listening to the Show of the Land with Jenn B right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And we'll be right back after this.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, die-hard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold and have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Welcome back to the show of the land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be sure to check out those wonderful shows, the Yinzer Report with Ralph Calise and the New York State of Sports with Ricky K. The Yinzer Report is for all of your Pittsburgh sports needs, and Ralph is usually on Tuesdays right before me at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but he is traveling today, so I believe he is going to try and get his show in tomorrow. And then Ricky's show is on Monday afternoons now. I believe his drop says Tuesdays, but it is now on Monday afternoons because his work schedule changed. So you can catch him on Mondays. And let's get into some hockey. Columbus Blue Jackets. Let's talk about their week in review. Tuesday, they played the Toronto Maple Leafs and won 6-2. James Van Riemsdyk, Justin Danforth, Mathieu Olivier had 2 goals. Sean Monahan and Kirill Marchenko all had goals. Like I said, Olivier had 2, and it was his first career 2-goal game, and it was the Blue Jackets' third 6-goal game of the season. In the comments, Baba Bullhole says, Blue Jackets have yet to win 2 in a row. Either way, crazy. True, but they are playing significantly better than they did last season, and they are getting goals. So I am quite impressed with the way they've been playing. Wasn't sure what to expect coming into this season after the loss of Johnny Gaudreau. Wasn't sure how it was going to affect the guys. Plus, they had the changeover in the front office over the summer with the new GM and a new coaching staff. including head coach. So I am quite impressed myself with how they are playing. Um, they're playing much faster. They're scoring more goals. The goalies have been doing well for the most part. Elvis was a little off his last start, but last night he was phenomenal. Almost broke his stick because he was so mad at the end of the game, but we'll get into that here in a minute. Uh, but they have definitely been playing much, much better than last season and better than most expected, especially given what they lost over the summer. Saturday, they played the Nashville Predators. They lost 4-3 in overtime. So they still got a point. Zach Aston Reese, Kirill Marchenko, and Zach Werenski scored the goals. Then last night, they played the Edmonton Oilers. And for whatever reason, the Blue Jackets play extremely well against the Oilers. And they beat the Stanley Cup runner up 6-1 last night. Sean Monahan had 2 goals. Adam Fantilli, Cole Sillinger, Matthew Olivier, and Mikhail Putia all had goals last night. It was Mikhail Putia's first career NHL goal. It was the 4th 6-goal game of the season for the Blue Jackets, and they set a franchise record for most goals scored through the first 8 games of the season. So you always love when the franchise records are being set because that means things are moving in the right direction. So, what is coming up next for the Blue Jackets? Tomorrow, they will be taking on the New York Islanders. Friday, the Winnipeg Jets. And Saturday, they will be playing the Washington Capitals. Like I said last night, Elvis Merzlikins was on point. He had, I believe, 31 saves. It might have been 33. It was 30 something saves. And he gave up that one lone goal to the Oilers with like 28 seconds left. And he almost broke his stick. He was so mad that he let it through. He was 28 seconds away from the shutout. So he played extremely well. He did not play so well his last 2 starts. They were actually the Blue Jackets' last 2 losses, not the one against the Predators. That was Tarasov, but the 2 before that, Elvis Merzlikins missed the last 2 games with an injury. So this was his first game back after the injury. And like I said, he played very well. So if he can stay healthy and Tarasov can keep playing at the level he's been playing at, we have 2 solid goaltenders. So that is definitely, I mean, it's never a negative. It's definitely a positive. So we'll see how things shape up over the next couple of weeks and onward. But got a couple of tough games coming up there, but I do like what I've been seeing from this team. So hopefully they can continue and do a little bit better than most anticipated they would. Unfortunately, not such great news for the Cleveland Monsters, who went 0-2 over the weekend. Well, I guess it wasn't even the weekend. It was part of the week too. Wednesday, they played the Rochester Americans and lost 6-1. Chris Wilkie had the lone goal, and it was his first goal with the Monsters. Then Saturday, they again took on the Rochester Americans. I don't know why my mouth doesn't want to say that. Anyway, they lost 5-4 in a shootout. So once again, they got a point. Trey Fix Wolanski, Roman Akan, Corson Kulemans, and Luca Delbel Blues had the goals for the Monsters. Their next games are coming up this coming weekend. On Saturday, they will play the Toronto Marlies, and on Sunday, the Grand Rapid Griffins. Oh, I forgot to switch it. So let's do that again. Next up, they will be playing on Saturday the Toronto Marlies, Sunday the Grand Rapid Griffins. So a good luck to the Monsters. Hopefully they can get a couple more wins under their belt. But that is going to be all for tonight's show. I'm going to wrap things up so I can jump on to the Crew match and hopefully watch them beat the tar out of the New York Red Bulls. So go Crew, go Browns, go Blue Jackets, and go Cavs. Like I said, I will be there tomorrow, so keep an eye on the socials for posts about that. And thank you, one and all, for joining me tonight. Thank you, Papa Pool Host, and thank you once again for joining the show, and thank you for the early birthday wishes. I will catch you all next Tuesday, same time, same place, on the Show of the Land with Jenn B. Next up is the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax, and actually it might already be underway over on Spreaker for all of your Buffalo sports needs. And then later on tonight, you can catch Philly Sports Talk, The Neutral Zone, and Sin City Sports. So check out all of our fantastic shows. Thank you, one and all, for joining me and getting your Columbus and Cleveland sports fix right here from the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Y'all have a great night.